What's up, everybody? I'm Thomas J. Bellezza, and welcome to The Right Mindset. Today, I'm going to go over, as you can see on the screen, creating, character naming 101. Elevate your writing with the right names. We're going to basically creating names that don't suck. So, just so you understand what the lesson will be about today, names may seem like minor detail in storytelling, but they play a pivotal role in the immersion of your readers. So in this lesson, we'll delve into the art of naming characters, places, and things in your narrative. We'll explore why this seemingly small task holds significant importance and how it can elevate your story. I'll show you how to come up with names and avoid common pitfalls. So let's do it. Hit that intro so I could take a sip of my Pepsi and get going. If you haven't done so already and you like videos on lessons about craft for writing, analyzing, reviewing storytelling, and of course, interviews with other fellow writers, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out. Let's get right into it. Understanding the significance of names and storytelling. Before we dive into the craziness, the nitty-gritty, as one might say, of naming conventions, it's essential to grasp the broader picture. You know, like we want to understand the significance of the names, right? So names, or more importantly, I should say authors, our ultimate goal is to create a world within our stories that readers can lose themselves in. And names are part of the key to unlocking this immersive experience. Names provide identity and context to characters, places, and objects in your narrative. A well-chosen name can evoke emotions, set the tone, and even foreshadow events. But why do names matter, and what should you aim to achieve by mastering the art of crafting names that don't suck? In the vast realm of storytelling, I will tell you the power of a name should never be underestimated. No, names are not just arbitrary labels, they are building blocks of your narrative. So, let's just get this up here. Names. What is a name? So to start, names as an identity. Okay, first and foremost, a name as an identity. Okay. Now, think of names as the fingerprints of your characters, places, and objects within your story. Just as a person's name carries a sense of identity and individualism, the names you give to your story elements define who they are in the world you've created. That's why a well-chosen name can instantly convey character traits, motivations, and even cultural backgrounds. For instance, the name Alexander, okay, may invoke notions of strength and leadership, while Luna might suggest a connection to the moon or mystery, for obvious reasons, right? Why is this? Let's format this. So annoying when that happens, right? Okay. All right. Okay. Now, you got to be careful when selecting names you have, because the power that they imbue onto the characters, the settings, or even objects could influence the personalities. So, think of names as tone setters, okay? Tone setters. All right? You want me to repeat that? Names have the remarkable ability to set the tone for your narrative. Whether you're aiming for a lighthearted comedy or a dark, brooding thriller, your names can provide subtle clues to readers about what to expect. Consider how the name Hogsworths instantly transports readers into the whimsical world of Harry Potter, while Gotham City conjures images of gritty, crime-ridden metropolis. The right names can immerse readers into the atmosphere you want to create, enhancing their overall reader experience. Okay? So, Gotham City, Gotham, right? Gotham. Like, they weren't just like, what do we name the city? They thought about it. There was some energy put into it. They were like, how do we make the city feel like its own thing? And, it has a gothic appearance to it. It's dark and gritty. So, Gotham, right? Gotham. But names as foreshadowing, foreshadowing. You wanna have names that foreshadow, right? This is fun to do too, because they are a tool. A name is a tool in your arsenal for writing. Skilled authors, or authors in general, often drop hints and clues within names to subtly guide readers. Imagine a character named Grace, who faces a journey of redemption, or a place called Whispering Woods that hides a mysterious secret. These names provide a layer of depth and intrigue, inviting readers to uncover hidden meanings and connections as the story unfolds. Now, foreshadowing through names can create a sense of anticipation and engagement that keeps readers eagerly turning the pages. I'm turning them right now. Another thing you could do with your names are names as emotional damage, emotional triggers. That's about that, like that. Okay. Names can evoke emotions in readers. They can trigger empathy, nostalgia, or curiosity. Ooh, when readers connect with a character through their names, they become more invested in their journey. Now, a well-crafted name can make readers care deeply about the character's struggles and triumphs. Consider how the name Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird conjures a sense of wisdom, justice, and moral integrity, making the character instantly relatable and memorable. Now, Atticus Finch has a very strong name to it, right? But did you know you could use names as a world, if I spelled it right, world building tool? That's right. You can. You can. And this comes from, whether you're crafting a fictional realm or grounding your story in a specific time and place. Names help define the cultural and geographical aspects of your world. They can reflect linguistic influences, historical references, and social norms. Okay? By choosing names that align with your story settings, you create a more immersive experience for readers and transport them into the fully realized world of your novels. What I'll say to that is names as world building. So Garion, Darian, those names kind of sound alike, right? They have the RION, but they have the RIAN, but they come from the same region. Okay. Whoops. All right. So it's important to keep that in mind. I have a city called Montan, right? But I also have uh oh, Darkais, right? Okay, Darkais, right? But Garuk, okay? Garuk, okay? So as you can see, these have the two R's, right? So Mortarn, right? So, and Darkais, but then this R is single, Garuk, right? You got to do those vowels, Greek, right? And that also influences it because Garuk plays with the Velis race or Velis species use of the rolled R. whereas this double R has to do with the region, or the kingdom of Tan. So names in themselves become a part of those rituals, like, but how does that influence your world? Well, let's say your world is New York City, right? New York City, right? A lot of the names over there, you got Nassau, Suffolk, Riverhead, Albany, right? They have very specific kind of sounding names. Um, but then you go to California and it's like L.A., Los Angeles, San Diego, um, things like that. If you go up to Canada, eh? You got Ontario, Quebec, right? Stuff like that. So there's regional names that kind of influence it. So if you're in the real world, you want to make sure that you're playing with names that are like that. But we'll get into that in a minute, like how names could actually disrupt the story if you choose the wrong name. But in essence, I do want to say understanding the significance of names in storytelling is about recognizing their multifaceted roles. Names are not mere labels, but integral components that shape character identity, set tones, foreshadow events, trigger emotions, and contribute to your world building. So, as authors, we hold the power to harness the magic of names to create narratives that resonate deeply with our readers. The weight and wonder of a name is part of the process for crafting your stories. For in these letters and syllables, you hold the keys to unlocking the full potential of your narrative world. Okay. Boop. Keep it pronounceable and relatable. All right, let's do that. One common mistake. Oh, let's bring it down. Let's put that away. Okay. Keep it pronounceable and relatable. Okay. Here we go. One common mistake is going overboard with complex, unpronounceable names or resorting to strange spellings while creating an essential, readable, and relatable. While being creative is essential to developing your voice, readability and relatability should not be sacrificed. So we're going to kind of discuss the importance of names that readers can effortlessly pronounce and remember. But you do need to know how to strike the right balance between unique and familiar names, ensuring that your names enhance rather than hinder the experience. While the allure of unique and exotic names may be tempting, readability and relatability should always maintain. So basically, Carlaxiton Mux. I don't know. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm passing this name up. Like, if I see a name like that, I'm just like, next. Or if you're like, oh, they're aliens, so their name is Butargurst. And Now, don't get me wrong. I have names like Zaliva, Silali, right? Okay, 1 second. Let me get some more screen. Silali, right? Okay. And but I also have playful names like Corgan Mostly, right? So, and I have a name like Zanaya, right? Okay, but then I have names like Otis, right? Ooh, or Emlyn, right? So, this is the only name that is not a part of one of the tribes. But these 5 names right here are a part of plains people, right? And as you can see, they kind of fit around the same thing, but they're still they're readable. Zo Li Va, Sai La Li. Zanaya, Odes, Emlyn, right? But also I'm playing with the use of the language around that world, around that region too. So the Valus and the way, like this is Naya, and that's because the Valus, the A after a consonant, has the sound instead of the A sound, right? So Zanaya, right? Um, even if it's in the middle of a consonant, it's following the con, right? So this also follows E after a consonant has the long E. So I just made it Lee. So Zoliva, right? I'm following a lot of the rules. See, Sai La Lee, right? The I sounds like EE also in the language. Anyway, so let's get into it a little bit. Let's get into it. All right. Remember, whoop. Okay. Beep, beep. Beep, 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 beep. Readability and ease of pronunciation. All right. Imagine reading a book and encountering a character with a name that seems like a jumble of consonants and vowels. Your brain stumbles over the pronunciation, and each encounter with that name becomes a momentary distraction. Basically, you just fly over it, you know? So, to maintain reader engagement, it's crucial to choose names that flow smoothly when spoken and can be easily pronounced by the majority of your audience. Names should be a bridge between the written word and the reader's mind. However, if the name is like Rue, okay, every time I would see this name, I'd be like G, right? So I'd be like, across the room, G stared at his friend or their friend. Like I wouldn't even give it a time. I'd have to shorthand it so I could keep reading. That's just I would have to, no matter what. Um, but you're also trying to build. You're building a connection with your reader, right? So how do we do that? Well, relatable names create an instant connection between the reader and the character. When readers encounter a name they can relate to, they're more likely to form an emotional bond, okay, with the character. And these names resonate because they echo the names we encounter in our own lives, in the world around us. So you might want to think of names like, what about Sarah or Emily? Emily, right? David, Thomas, like my name, right? Now, if you want to play with it, Sarah, right? Sarah, M, Emily, Emily, right? David, that's Tommaso, Thomas. Anyway, um, Thomas, us, eh? Thomas, right? So you can play with names. They still have Sarah, Emily, right? David, Thomas, right? So you can play with it, but the name still has a familiarity to it, And that also brings us to balancing. Whoop. Listen. All right. Balancing uniqueness and accessibility. Well, relatability is essential. It doesn't mean all your characters should have mundane names. Striking the right balance between unique and accessible names is the key. Unique names can add depth and intrigue to your story, but they should still be designed with readability in mind. Consider the Harry Potter series. You have Hermione, right? Her, her. What's her name? It's her. Mine Hermione. But then you also have Dumbledore, and then you have Harry, right? And Ron. Okay, Ron Weasley. Now, Hermione, Hermione. That's a weird spelling. But Dumbledore is a unique name. Harry and Ron are pretty familiar. So they're kind of mixed in there, right? These names kind of stand out outside of Harry and Ron. Harry and Ron. Now, the other thing that's important is cultural and genre considerations. I was talking about this up here with these names minus this name have cultural significance in my world. These names have cultural significance because they influence with the region and everything like that. So if we're talking about cultural and genre considerations, the culture or the genre of the story and the context of that is important. So if your story is set in a specific culture or time period, research names that are authentic to that setting. Avoid names that feel out of place from that region. Likewise, in genres like fantasy or science fiction, you have the creative freedom to invent names, but they should still follow the principles of readability and relatability. But ultimately, if you were writing like a horror and Sammy Davis and Junior, I spelled that wrong. Give me some Junior. Did I spell that wrong? I think I did good. Junior. I suck at spelling. I'll be honest. I don't know why I put an R in there, but Junior. All right. Anyway. Okay. So, Junior. Sammy Davis Jr. Look at that. I took a name and I made all three. Okay. Anyway. Right. So, it's supposed to be a horror, but there's Sammy, there's Davis, and there's Junior. Those names don't really fit well. But also, like, where are they? Are they, on a different planet? Is it space? Like Ripley. I think that's how you spell it. Ripley is a great name for the Alien series, right? And then who else was in there, right? What are the other character names in Aliens? Character names in Aliens, right? You got names like, all right. So you have Ripley, but then you have the Xenomorph, right? But you also have Rebecca, which is the little girl, right? And then you have Elizabeth. No, that's someone else. Here's another Dwayne. Okay, and his last name is Hicks. All right, and Ripley's name is Ellen Ripley. Okay, Ellen Ripley, and then you have Ash, which is from the first Aliens. You have let's use Bishop. Bishop. Who cares about Bishop? I do. All right. Okay. Anyway, or what about the douche guy, Burke, Carter Burke, right? So these names, all right, this is a horror thriller, right? Look, they're just like, but this guy, this is a military guy. This is an office guy. But I spell something. Oh, I spelled that right. Oh, no, I didn't. Jesus. All right. Anyway, so he's like an office guy. This is a robot. This is a whatchamacallit, a cat. He's this is Michael Bean's character. This is he's a soldier, But Rebecca is just a little girl. A Xenomorph is an alien, so there you go, right? And Ellen Ripley is an officer, not in the army, but she, whatever. She's just someone working. So like the names kind of correspond with who they are as people and their position and the culture and also the genre they're in. Okay? So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. All right. That's me singing. Okay. What else is important about names when it comes to you want to keep it pronounceable and relatable, huh? What else? Well, I'll tell you. Names that reflect character traits. Okay. Are you okay? I'm okay. All All right. So consider how a character's name can reflect their personality, role, or background. Names can be a suitable form of characterization. For instance, a character name Grace again, right? We could do Grace again. May embody qualities of literal grace and poise. Names that align with character traits can provide readers with subtle hints about who they are. Right? That's why my main protagonist, Devious Maureen, has the name Devious Maureen, because I'm playing with the name because he's the protagonist and he's the hero, but his name is Devious. Right? So, but the main antagonist is his name is this. Is Maven Maureen. Thus, the Maven Wars. Right? Okay. Yeah, there you go. All right. Crafting. But anyway, crafting names that are pronounceable and relatable is about creating a harmonious reader experience for your audience. Readers should effortlessly glide through your narrative without stumbling, like I just did, over names, and they should feel an immediate connection to your characters. Now, I have another character called Keelvin. And I, working on the novel, decided to change it to Cleander. Right? There you go. So Keelvin turned into Cleander. 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 If you don't know who Cleander is, he's Roman. He was a Caesar. He was an emperor. Cleander. But anyway, all right. Beep. Anyway, but it's still, it still carries the same value as that name, because this name got a little confusing even for me. I was like, it's like real Keelvin. Yo, Keelvin, what's up? Now, Cleander, Keelvin, that might be fine. Like, if I want to keep that in there, we don't really need to be able to pronounce his last name because everyone's going to be calling him Cleander. Anyway, all right, keeping it going. All right. Names and context. Oh, yeah. Boop. Names and context. There is an important... Oh, wait, I guess I should do this real quick. Okay. There is an importance to names that fit seamlessly within the context of your story. Names should be culturally appropriated and era-specific if needed. With examples from fantasy settings with medieval inspiration, where names like... Let's give you a nice impression. Okay? Like, you don't want names like this. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Right? But in fantasy settings, Jake, Chris, Mark might feel out of place. Similarly, similarly, Jesus Christ. Dyslexia. I recommend taking two a day. All right. Anyway, in the realm of science fiction, alien species should bear names that reflect their otherworldly origins. And as much as it would be fun to meet a Jerry from Pluto, it can take you out of the story if the narrative is dark and gritty. Hold back, everyone. Somebody's approaching us. We just landed on Pluto. Hello, alien. You are scary looking. What is your name? Jerry. My name is Jerry. Oh, you can't see me. Who are you? I am Jerry. My name is Jerry. Okay, I'm done. All right, let's go to you. Boop. Do we need me up? Yeah. So the names you choose should work narratively in your world. Another thing you should think of, though, is cultural consistency. Okay, that's very important. Either the cultural consistency of the world you made up. So if you have a cultural element to your world that is no pun intended, foreign from our known world, and it's something you completely made up, try to maintain consistency with that through names. Using real world examples, names that they should reflect an entire cultural background and influence characters. For example, if you're writing a story that takes place in Japan, Hiroshi or Akiko, right? Okay, so these would align with the cultural context, but if you go to Japan in feudal Japan and it's Jim, or whatever, or Mikey, it might look weird. You know what I'm saying? So you have to think of cultural consistency. However, if somebody shows up like a Jim and a Mikey from I could even do a Mickey from another cultural background, that's fine. But you have to remember the people around that area, the majority of them would probably maintain a consistency to that culture. However, if we go back up to my examples of names, Corgan is a city name from the kingdom of Tarn, right? The kingdom of Silation, and but these names are from the plains area. Not that plains, more like I'm running around in the forests and the fields. But the point is, the names are consistent within the cultural. The other thing that happens is if you go from the plains to the city world, you forfeit your plains name. So if your name was, say, Otis, and you went into the city, you would take on a name with that fits that city world, mostly for protection, mostly so you don't get persecuted or deal with inconsistencies in human behavior like racism or segregation or things like that. So if you commit to that world, but again, even to the plains people, they look at those who gave up that life for the city life. They look down on them just as the city people look down on the tribes people, or like being stuck in that kind of world. So that's something you think about. It adds something to the story. All right. Also, era and time period. Names should also align with the time period of each era. Avoid using names that are, anachronistic. Like meaning they don't belong to the historical period you're portraying. If your story takes place in the 19th century, contemporary names like Madison or Aiden might feel out of place. So you should research your names. But like if we're gonna again, if you're gonna talk about genre specific names and stuff like that, like real quick, in Star Wars, okay, which takes place in space, it's outer space, right? You have Luke as the main protagonist, okay? Wilson. Oh, is it Skywalker? Skywalker? Or is it Palpatine? I forget. I keep changing the names. Anyway, I know it's not. I know it's Luke Skywalker. All right, but anyway, but you have Luke Skywalker, but then you have Vader, right? But his other name is Anakin. Did I spell really terrible names? Anakin. Oh, I know what I did wrong. Anakin. All right, right. But also you have Palpatine. Okay, so he has, for the protagonist, it's like Luke, very straightforward. But then like the other characters, but then you get like crazy names like Greedo. Han shot first. I just want to. Which, by the way, is another name, Han Solo, right? And then Princess Leia. Princess Leia. And you want to keep in mind that the character Character backgrounds and origins are important. A character's name can offer insight into their heritage, upbringing, or even their role in the story. Now, not every character in my world has a last name, but the main character, Devious, has a last name, Maureen. And the Maureen name has generational weight to it. It has a history to it. It has, which also plays into the narrative of the story, right? So when you meet characters that have a last name, there's a reason for it. Most characters don't have a last name. Um, Last names mean many different things, but at the same time, not everybody needs it, right? So, um, but again, like when it comes to character background and origin, names can be a form of subtle characterization, especially to regional areas, right? So, for instance, a character from a distant, isolated village might have a name that reflects their remote origins, where a noble character may bear a name associated with a high level lineage of wealth and knowledge, right? And the other thing is maybe you want to play with readers by suspension of disbelief. Names that align with the story's context contribute to the reader's suspension of disbelief. When names feel out of place or inconsistent with the world you've created, it can disrupt the reading experience. It takes you out of the immersion, right? So, conversely, context appropriate names enhance the reader's ability to lose themselves. You got to lose yourself in the narrative fully, embracing the story's setting and characters. So, you want to craft names and context with a sense of harmonious elements. You want it to be immersive. So names should reflect the cultural, historical, and genre-specific aspects of your narrative world. It's just something you should really think about. So keep in mind that names are not just labels. They are not. Final thought. In our writing journey, improvement comes from honing various aspects of our craft, right? So naming characters is no exception. The ability to create names that resonate, enhance, immerse, and make sense in the context of your story is a valuable skill for authors. That's us, right? It's not just about avoiding pitfalls. It's about elevating your storytelling to higher levels. As you embrace on this journey to master the art of names, keep in mind that every detail, no matter how small, contributes to the greater whole of your narrative. Embrace the challenge of crafting names that don't suck and let your writing flourish. Um, in addition to that, I like to just add that uh, even if they're a shopkeeper, not that they have to have a really crazy name or just allow their name to be valued. Unless you don't have a name for them, you don't need. They could just be the shopkeeper, right? When your characters go to a city, a town, or pick up a specific kind of weapon or cast a specific kind of spell, or maybe it's a love story, and but in a fictitious environment, let the names have some weight to them when you're talking about where they live or even the roads they live on, right? Give yourself a little bit of leeway when it comes to the less important elements and characters, but at the same time, instead of giving them a generic, unthought of name for an item or anything, maybe just refer to it as the village, refer to it as the mailroom clerk, whatever. Instead of giving them a name that might potentially take them out of the story. But again, it is your narrative, and it's your job to trust your instincts as a writer and follow what you're looking to do. Next video in the series will be about taming characters to stay within our outlines. All right. So you might write like some of my friends where the characters write the story, but they as authors are the conduit feeling their words and helping them reach the page. Those authors that are like, oh, they won't shut up in my head until I write down the chapter. Well, as writers, you need to be able to tame those characters even when they aren't speaking with you from another world. So in that video, we'll go over things that will help you keep the narrative clear in a way that aligns with your outline, even if you're a pantser. Question. What was a name that you've always loved from a novel you read? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you're watching but haven't done so already, please subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss out. All right, I guess that's it. As always, keep developing the right mindset. I'll see you next time. Bye.